The most vicious alien warriors in the galaxy were about to get their asses handed to them by a single human mercenary. Terry Porter, battle-scarred and grizzled, had taken on plenty of suicide missions before, but infiltrating the Pack-led homeworld to assassinate their warlord was a whole new level of insane. The Pack-led were the undisputed kings of combat, thriving on endless bloodshed. Even their weakest fighters could tear apart the greatest champions of other species. But Terry never backed down from a challenge, especially when the stakes were this high. His mysterious client was paying a fortune, and rumor had it the Pack-led were gearing up to invade Earth next. If Terry failed, humanity was screwed. He'd need all his skills and cunning to survive this hellscape of a planet. The Pack-led capital was a labyrinth of bunkers and killing fields, with armies clashing in a perpetual frenzy of violence. Their brutal dictator Odin was said to be invincible, lusting for worthy foes to slaughter. Well, Terry would give him one, all right. The Shadowhawk, his stealth warship, was loaded with enough firepower to level a city. Now it rocketed toward the Pack-led system, engines screaming. Terry gripped the controls, his heart pounding with adrenaline. In a few hours he'd either be the legendary merc who single-handedly toppled an alien empire, or a forgotten corpse rotting in the mud. But if he pulled this off, the Pack-led would learn an important lesson. Never underestimate a human with nothing to lose. The Shadowhawk pierced through the hazy atmosphere, skimming over the war-torn landscape of the Pack-led homeworld. Craters and rubble stretched as far as the eye could see, a testament to the unending cycle of conflict that defined this savage planet. Terry disembarked, pulse rifle in hand, and was immediately surrounded by a squad of hulking Pack-led warriors. They escorted him across the desolate terrain, their heavy boots crunching on the shattered remains of battles past. Soon, a colossal structure loomed before them, the arena where Terry's fate would be decided. It was a monument to brutality, its circular walls adorned with the grim trophies of countless fallen warriors, weapons and skulls, all arranged in grisly displays. In the center of the arena stood Odin, the fearsome Pack-led leader. He was clad head to toe in ornate black armor, a massive double-bladed battle axe gripped in his meaty fists. Terry took his position opposite the alien warlord, energy daggers at the ready. Odin flashed a predatory grin, razor-sharp teeth glinting. "You are brave, human, but foolish. No one has ever bested me in single combat." Terry smirked right back, fingers tightening on his weapons. "There's a first time for everything, ugly." The duel began in a whirlwind of violence. Odin came at Terry like a force of nature, his battle-axe whirling and slashing with blinding speed. The alien's strength was monstrous, each blow enough to shatter bone. But Terry was no pushover. He bobbed and weaved around Odin's attacks, his lean body a blur of motion. He retaliated with surgical strikes from his daggers and pulse blasts whenever he found an opening. Around them, Pack-led spectators roared and jeered, electrified by the sight of their undefeated champion facing a worthy opponent at last. The arena became a storm of clashing weapons, battle cries, and spraying blood as the rivals traded blows in a deadly dance. Terry felt his muscles burning, his breath coming in ragged gasps. But he pushed himself harder, faster. He could see Odin was tiring too, the alien's swings becoming heavier and more labored. Just as it seemed they had fought to a stalemate, Terry's sharp eyes caught the briefest lapse in Odin's guard. Seizing his chance, he launched himself forward in a desperate lunge. His energy dagger flashed out, knocking the battle-axe from Odin's grip and coming to rest against the warlord's throat. A stunned silence fell over the arena as the Pack-led realized their leader had been disarmed and defeated. Terry savored his hard-won victory for a single breath. And then the world exploded around them. As the smoke cleared, Terry and Odin found themselves encircled by a mob of Pack-led insurgents, weapons drawn and ready to fire. From the crowd emerged a hulking figure, his body a tapestry of scars and cybernetic enhancements. It was Crag, Odin's former right-hand man, now leading the charge against his old master. "Surrender, Odin," Crag bellowed, his voice dripping with malice. "Your reign ends today. The Pack-led Empire will be mine." Odin spat on the ground, his eyes blazing with defiance. "I will never yield to a traitor like you, Crag." In that moment, an unspoken understanding passed between Terry and Odin. Their duel would have to wait. They had a common enemy to defeat first. As one, they sprang into action, Terry's pulse rifle and Odin's battle axe flashing in a deadly symphony. Back to back, they carved a path through the rebel forces, human agility and pack-led brute strength working in perfect harmony. Terry ducked under a rebel's plasma blade, then rammed his rifle butt into the warrior's face, shattering teeth. Odin cleaved through 3 attackers with a single mighty swing, his axe leaving a trail of dismembered limbs. Fighting their way out of the arena, they battled through the war-torn streets, painting the crumbling buildings with rebel blood. Terry's tactical mind whirred, analyzing pack-led combat patterns and exploiting weaknesses, while Odin's unstoppable fury scattered their foes like leaves before a storm. At last, they reached the towering obsidian fortress that was Odin's palace. Inside, they barricaded the doors and caught their breath, surrounded by the grim trophies of Odin's conquests. "Crag was my most trusted general," Odin growled, wiping gore from his blade. "But his ambition grew too great. He coveted my throne and plotted against me in secret." Terry saw his chance. "Listen, Odin, I came here to kill you and bring your empire crashing down. But now I propose a temporary truce. Help me defeat Crag and his goons, and then we can settle our own score, warrior to warrior. Winner takes all." Odin regarded him thoughtfully, then nodded. "You have proven yourself a worthy ally, human. Very well, we shall crush this rebellion together, and then finish what we started." They put their heads together, combining Terry's unorthodox tactics with Odin's intimate knowledge of pack-led warcraft. A plan took shape. Terry would lead a small strike team to outflank the rebel forces, while Odin acted as bait to lure Crag into a devastating crossfire. As they armed themselves and prepared for the final confrontation, Terry felt a flicker of respect kindle in his chest. Odin was a monster, but he was also a true warrior, bound by a code of honor as strong as any human's. In another life, perhaps they could have been brothers in arms, but for now they had a battle to win and a score to settle, and Terry would be damned if he let a pack-led rebellion steal his kill. As the trap sprung into action, Odin emerged from his palace gates alone, his voice booming across the war-torn landscape. "Crag, you spineless coward, come face me yourself, instead of sending your lackeys to die for your treachery." The bait was too tempting for Crag to resist. With a bellowing war cry, the rebel leader ordered his forces to charge, a tidal wave of pack-led warriors surging towards Odin's position. Hidden among the rubble of a long-ago battle, Terry and his strike team tensed, fingers tightening on their weapons. As the first rank of rebels reached Odin, Terry barked into his comm, "Now, hit them hard!" Pulse rifles cracked, and plasma grenades detonated as Terry's team burst from cover, catching the rebels in a withering crossfire. Scores of Crag's warriors fell in the opening volley, their lifeless bodies littering the ground. Odin wasted no time, leaping into the fray with a roar of challenge. His battle-axe flashed in great killing arcs, rebel blood splattering his armor as he hacked a path through their ranks. Terry and his team pushed forward relentlessly, advanced human weapons proving devastatingly effective against the less sophisticated pack-led. They ducked and weaved through the chaos of melee combat, pulse rounds and vibroblades, finding rebel flesh with ruthless efficiency. Slowly but surely, they closed in on Crag's position. The rebel leader was a whirlwind of violence, his power sword cleaving loyalist and human alike as he tried to rally his beleaguered forces. Then Terry was there, locking blades with Crag in a shower of sparks. The rebel sneered, his grotesque face a mask of hatred. "You fight well for a human, but you are no match for a true pack-led warrior." Terry just grinned savagely, the battle fever singing in his veins. "Let's find out, shall we?" They dueled in the midst of the raging battle, neither giving quarter. Terry's pulse rifle clashed against Crag's crackling power sword, the air ionizing from the energy discharge. Crag had the edge in raw strength and reach, but Terry's speed and precision kept him in the fight. Around them the tide was slowly turning. Odin and his loyalists fought with renewed ferocity, inspired by the sight of their leader's valor. The rebels began to waver and break, their lines crumbling. Terry pressed his attack, hammering at Crag's defenses, forcing the rebel to give ground. Victory was within his grasp. Then blinding agony exploded in his shoulder as a stray plasma bolt found its mark. Terry stumbled, his guard dropping for a fraction of a second. It was all Crag needed. With a triumphant bellow, the rebel lunged, power sword aimed at Terry's heart. Time seemed to slow to a crawl. But the killing blow never landed. Odin was there, throwing himself in front of Terry. The blade meant for the human buried itself in the pack-led leader's chest instead. Odin crashed to the ground in a clatter of armor, dark blood pooling beneath his inert form. Shock and grief warred across Terry's face as he met the fading light in Odin's eyes. A strangled sob escaped Terry's throat as he cradled Odin's broken body, the pack-led's blood staining his armor crimson. Around them, the battle raged on, rebel and loyalist forces clashing in a brutal melee. But in that moment, the world narrowed to just the two of them. Rivals turned allies turned something more. "Hold on, you big ugly bastard," Terry growled, fumbling for a med pack with shaking hands. "You don't get to die on me now." Odin's hand, slick with gore, closed over Terry's, stilling his frantic movements. The pack-led leader's eyes, once blazing with battle fury, now held a strange serenity. "No human," he rasped, each word an effort. "My time has come. The gods call me to the eternal battlefield." Terry shook his head in denial, unwilling to accept the truth before him. "Bullshit, you're too mean to die." A wet, rattling chuckle escaped Odin's lips, followed by a gout of dark blood. "Listen well, Terry Porter. I chose you for a reason. Not just your skill in battle, but your strength of will, your cunning mind, your unbreakable spirit." The pack-led's grip tightened, his gaze boring into Terry's soul. "I have grown weary of this endless cycle of war, the senseless slaughter that has defined my people for generations. In you, I see a chance for something new, a future where pack-led strength is tempered by human wisdom." Terry's mind reeled, unable to process the implications of Odin's words. "What are you saying?" "I name you my successor, Terry Porter, the new ruler of the pack-led empire. Unite the clans, break the chains of our bloody past, and lead our people to glory." With that final proclamation, Odin's eyes slid shut, his last breath escaping in a sigh. Terry knelt there, numb with shock and grief, as the battle raged around him. Slowly he became aware of the silence falling over the battlefield. Rebel and loyalist alike lowered their weapons, all eyes turning to the human cradling their fallen leader. As one, the pack-led warriors sank to their knees, heads bowed in submission. "All hail Terry Porter," they intoned, their voices rising in a thunderous chant, "ruler of the pack-led empire, chosen of Odin, lord of battle." Terry rose to his feet, Odin's blood still staining his hands, and faced his new subjects. His mind raced with the implications of this sudden twist of fate. He had come to this planet as an assassin, a mercenary with no higher goal than the next paycheck. But now the weight of an entire civilization rested on his shoulders. Terry's hand tightened on his pulse rifle, the weapon that had seen him through countless battles. The road ahead would be long and treacherous, a gauntlet of challenges that would test him to his very limits. But he had never been one to back down from a fight. And as he looked out over the sea of pack-led faces, he saw not just the brutal warriors of legend, but a people crying out for change, for leadership, for hope. Terry raised his rifle high, the battered weapon gleaming in the harsh light of the pack-led sun. "I accept this charge," he bellowed, his voice ringing across the blood-soaked ground. "In Odin's name, in the name of the pack-led empire, I will lead you to victory." The answering roar was deafening, a primal cry of loyalty and bloodlust that shook the very earth. The pack-led had a new ruler, a human who had proven himself worthy in the crucible of combat. And as Terry stood tall among his new people, he knew that his true battle was only beginning. You have reached the end of the story. If you enjoyed this story and want to support us, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel, And for every comment that says 88, I will heart every single one of them. Thank you for your time.